Morning, everybody. We're overdue for some stuff doing, and today the stuff we're doing is to the old budget F100. We'll call it a restoration, I suppose, but snazzing up of this old truck, getting it back on the road. Main goal for today is kind of threefold. I got a set of pretty nice used wheels and tires off Marketplace. Pretty solid. They're just standard black 15-inch rims, which I think actually look pretty good on this truck. But the big kicker is they're on 33s. I got 33-inch all-terrain. They're Kelly Safari TSRs. So the 33s fit, and I'll show you the other side. They clear, but because the suspension in this thing is just tired and old and everything's original, it needs a little help. It needs a little more lift in the front to really make it look right. It'll work the way it is, but the clearance is tight. I don't think it'll rub really, but the back is way higher. We've got about 2.5 inches of clearance between the tire and the fender well up there. I'll show you on the other side. It's basically the tire is inboard, but the tread's basically flush with the fender well. So I got 1.5 inch spacer blocks we're going to put on the coils on this thing. So threefold, I said we're going to do obviously the wheel and tire change while it's off. We're going to try and get those spacers in up front. And then I also have new soft brake lines for both front sides and the one off the pumpkin in the back. So we're going to go ahead and dig in and let you guys follow along. Golly, it's hot out here today. It's about 99, 100 degrees. Probably 100% humidity. I'm just pouring sweat. But today's the day I got to work on it. So, just wanted to show you, this is the 235/75. This is the 33 on the rear. Just with that one leaning over, you could see the difference is aggressive. I'm going to show you the other side that already has that 33 on it. Also got a fancy new jack from Harbor Freight today. I finally splurged. Of course, I Harbor Freight splurged, but I got the 3-ton low profile. It's like 180 bucks on sale. That thing lifts so much faster. It's pretty nice. I had one of those cheapo, like $40 deals before, as you saw, and it doesn't quite cut it. So here is the front with the 33. And as you can see, sorry, my allergies are a mess. As you can see, it's basically tucked flush with the fender lip. It fits, it clears, it's inboard enough, it's not gonna rub, but it doesn't look right. If you look at the rear, like I said, I got tons of space. I got space all day back here. I can fit almost a whole hand. The other side doesn't quite yet, but once I get all 4 sides even, I think that'll correct. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this tire back off, even though we already put it on the other day. Put the lift spacer there. Put the lift spacer on the other side. Change those brake lines out. Alright, so we got her up in the air. Got all the lug nuts loose. Actually, all but 3 are already removed. Go ahead and zip those other ones off. So I got the new set of actually all 4 wheels and tires with good tires, and they're fairly new full sets. And he even gave me some black lug nuts to match them, which is pretty cool. Full set of black lug nuts, all for 400 bucks. I don't think you can do a whole lot better than that. That sounded pretty good to me. Now to scrape, get in here, we gotta find the nut that retains this spring in on the top. But there's so much gunk on here, we're gonna need like a scraper tool just to clean it off. Everyone knows the best scraper tool is an old beat up flathead screwdriver, right? So, got a couple of them. we actually have it lifted enough that if I undo these bolts, I think the spring will actually drop down on its own. I told you I'd show you what we're putting in. I ordered eBay's finest. It looks like a horseshoe, basically. It's angled, it's tapered. It sits at a slight angle, so it's kind of pocketed to fit the top of the spring. Recedes in it, and this goes up in the perch where the spring would sit, creating 1.5 inches of space and still keeping everything the right shape and all that good stuff. So, we need whatever size hardware that is to undo this nut, which I'll come in and show you here. And then we'll take a pry bar and kind of pry down on the suspension, get that spring to drop in and shove that spacer in place. So what we've got to remove is that right there. There's kind of a saddle, almost like a U-clamp that would hold like the rear leaf springs in type deal, you know? Bolt on each side. They've got like these pressed in like nutsert things. And then allergy fun. Sorry, we'll edit that out, that crazy sneeze. Those bolts are what we gotta find the socket for and remove. And then that will drop down. Then block spacer can go in, and then we slide the bolts back in, lower the truck down a little bit, clamp that back together, and we're in business, in theory. I think I got you in the right spot here. We're at close quarters, so we're gonna say it's probably good. All right, so what we're gonna do is, luckily my dad came over for me to look at his truck, which we fixed super easy. He had a line off his intake manifold that used to run to like the valve cover as a return off the breather that he deleted. The plug that was on there, the little rubber, just the, you know, cap that goes over the vacuum line, had rotted and fell off, so he had this huge like 5/8 open hole right at the intake, and just too much unmetered air. Anywho, that was fixed super easy. Ended up not being anything crazy. And since he was here, he's like, oh, I got a spring compressor. It'll make this easy so we can just crunch this down, because I can't get enough leverage even with the new fancy pry bar that I bought to get the spacer up above. So he's going to get that compressor. We'll put it on either side. We'll scrunch this thing down. Hopefully then it's as easy as sliding that new disc in and being done with it. But we'll see. We'll see on that. There's a chance I can't put this coil spring saddle back on in the top, but even if I can't, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to matter. That's really to keep it from popping out if you max out travel. I don't think it's possible to max out travel on this thing. So we'll see though. We might have enough clearance. Those bolts are long enough. I might be able to still get it to bolt in, and then we're in business. While I'm waiting, I guess I can clean up around these brake fittings, because we're going to change this line. I'm not going to take it off until after, because I don't want to mess up the connection prematurely, you know, and screw up my brand new one. But we're going to clean this up where it goes to the caliper. Clean that bleeder off too. That bleeder is pretty rusted looking on there, so might be tough to get that bad boy out to bleed these brakes. We'll see. That one's pretty clean. Let's see what we got going on here. This thing is horrendous. But the upside is, with all this crud around it, just like that one up top, I'm hoping that makes it where it's actually somewhat non-rusty and serviceable. All this oily goop around it just kind of help preserve these fittings. This actually looks really good. Look at that. side here. This whole bracket's loose. There's one bolt that just fell out on its own. Whoever put this truck together last, I'd like to meet that guy. I'm sure he's missing at least a couple fingers. Definitely missing a couple brain cells. This truck is scary. It's terrifying. Totally terrifying. I wonder how many other bolts are just in here loose and not right. This one's just flopping around. What does that hold? That's one of the bolts that holds on the... Jesus, it's one of the bolts that holds on the steering rack, or the steering gearbox. So we'll need to tighten that up. I need to get a different socket for it though. Nope. There we go. There we go. Tight. See what I mean? It's just everything you touch on this is loose. It's mildly scary. But we're gonna fix all that. As we go through, everything we touch, we're making better. So progress is progress, right? I also love this. There's you get the full-size coverage nut. You got 3 of the old school, probably the original lug nuts, and then you got one new. That style. So 3 different styles all on one wheel, and actually every single wheel was like that. Gotta love it. Alright. So we are at it now. I went ahead and got this coil spring compressor. Coil spring compressor set. And got those on, got the spacing about right on. Try and keep it even. Just out of the way now.
So you're compressing the coil just to get the nut off the
Compressing the coil so I can put the spacer block.
Oh, above it.
Above it.
Gotcha.
Things make me nervous. It's gonna shoot out back into the pocket. As long as I keep it in the pocket. Yeah. That's it right there. So now I need to loosen these back up.
Yeah, what I like this too is like the threads are steel, and I don't know what the little teeth metal is, some kind of alloy, but it doesn't. I don't think it's aluminum. I think it's harder than aluminum. So.
It's in there. I'm gonna bring this bolt out for the top for the little support, and I'm gonna have to get longer bolts to put it back in. But it's just a retainer that keeps it from popping out the side. Not that I think it will, but if I can make it go back exactly the way it was, why not, you know? If I can get this last bolt loose, it should fall right out. 3, let's go. Alright, so we got this out. So this would normally clip underneath the spring perch. The bolts come down, but the bolts are now about 3/4 of an inch too short. So I need to see if I can find longer bolts with the same thread pitch. If I can, I'm in business. If not, I guess I can just not put them back in.
Yeah, I've never seen a setup like that had a retainer.
I just would prefer it that way because it doesn't have a whole lot. If you look, it doesn't have a whole lot of coverage over the lip now.
Yeah. But you're not gonna. The tires aren't gonna be. It's not gonna be hanging down either. It's gonna have pressure.
Pressure on it. Yeah. So I might not even need it, but I'll see what I got first.
Yeah. Of course, you're gonna need 4 of them, right?
Boom, and there we go, reassembled. Got the spacer up top. Can barely see it, but it's there. New brake line installed. Did the custom repaint, rebuild on the brakes. So now this side's ready for a tire and done. And bam, this side's down. Of course, I got to bounce it a few times, drive it forward and backwards, let it settle in. And right now there's just a slight bit of tension under the engine cradle, but that's roughly where it's going to sit. And it sits, if you look fender gap, it's slightly higher in the front, but if you look at the actual body, it's leveled, which is nice. And I like that look. I like a nice level front to back. So that looks excellent. Now we just got to do the other side. But you can see, of course, it's a twin I-beam. I should have measured first because it's going to throw off the other side. And it'll drop this side down when the other side's lifted. But I can stick my whole hand in vertical on this side. And I can stick, actually I can get 4 fingers on this side. Again, because it's twin I-beam and now it's all wonky. But that was tucked before. Once we level that out, it's going to raise that side still a little bit, lower that side a little bit, and I think we will sit perfect. It's going to look good. All right, get the wheel off on the other side, got it lifted up, and we're just going to repeat, compress these down. I already got the little securing rod off the top, so we can squish this out, slide that other one in, bolt it back together. We'll also go ahead and change this brake line. This is the one that's totally locked up. This wheel doesn't spin at all. So we'll take care of that, and then we'll see how we look final. Probably didn't even need to time lapse that one. Having done the other side, I was a lot more confident. I knew a lot more how to do it, so we literally did this in less than 5 minutes. So that was nice. Sitting there nice and even. The perch is sitting right where it should. Excellent. It'll need to settle in just a little bit when we let it down. But that was a smooth operation. Let's see if we can crack these brake lines with no fuss like the other side. So far so good. Top one broke loose. We get these off, we get the new line on, tire on, and we are done. Yeah, blower's loose. We're gonna scrub this area good so we don't have trash get in there. We'll get it off. Get that brake clean and give it a little spritz. Give both top and bottom a spritz. Okay. Do the lower first. Hook that way up high. I'm going to clean up and reuse this crush washer because I ran into this problem on the other side. The new crush washer is like half this thickness, so it does not seat even when you crank on it. So I'm going to clean this one up and reuse it. Shouldn't be a problem. It looks to be in just fine shape. It's not out of round, anything crazy. I just want to clean it and wipe it down, make sure there's no debris on it, but it's perfectly fine to reuse. Wiggle everything, make sure that crush washer gets right into the gap that it used to live in. Make sure everything seats good and happy. Feels good there. 9/16, tighten her up. You want this juice to stay inside the engine. Stopping juice is your second most important juice. Your brake doing juice that you consume is the most important. But this one's pretty important too. So it's not terrible, but it's definitely got some pretty serious camber issues going on. Toe looks good, camber's way off. But she's running good, she's on the road. It goes, it stops. We're getting somewhere.